Oh, hey everyone! It's time for Heaving Bosom's Ask a Badass, where we spotlight listeners of the podcast and lovers of romance because y'all contain multitudes that are hard to even comprehend sometimes. On Monday, February 10th, we've got a throwback for you. We're re-releasing our episode on Firelight by Kristen Callihan. It's book 1 of her Darkest London series, and it was our very first sexy monster. And now we have Natalie's chat with Stefannie C. This Joanna Lindsay fangirl is truly a Jill of all trades. I don't know where she comes up with so many hours of the day. She's a self-defense maven and instructor. She whips up gorgeous, professional-level cakes and confections, hosts the Outlaws and Scorned Women podcast, lives an enlightened polyamorous lifestyle, and is an all-around force of wonder and magic. Here we go!
Hi, Stefannie.
Hi, Natalie.
How are you? I always think it's funny when you have to pretend like you haven't been talking for however many minutes.
We just walked into the room.
Yeah.
Together.
Oh, hello. I just opened this video and then there you are.
We haven't been coordinating this for like a week or anything like that. No, not at all.
Hi, listeners. I'm here with Stefannie C. Stefannie is a longtime cult member.
Yeah.
Long time listener. Like, you're one of the OGs.
Yeah, apparently. My best friend and I were thinking about starting a podcast in that way where you're like, we're hilarious.
Yeah.
And we should talk to each other on microphones. And so I was like, we like romance novels. And she had just actually at a flea market in Kyle, Texas, had found these Men of America romance novels that are like one dude for every state. And yeah, she found like 47 of them. And I can't remember who we're missing, but it's not good. And they're like little Harlequin, terrible novels. And we were going to go through all of those. But then, life happened. But in the process of researching this, I Googled romance novel podcasts. And there was Heaving Bosoms was the first thing to come up.
Did you just Google it to see what else was out there and just see like, hey, who else is in the game? Which at that time, there wouldn't have been a lot. There wasn't a lot.
There was not a lot. It was like Heaving Bosoms was the first result.
Yeah.
Or it might have just been the first one I noticed because of the word bosoms. But.
Yeah. But they were like, I mean, now
they were Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll test drive this. And then, but yeah, no, I've been listening for a long time.
Yes. So long-time listener, first-time caller. It's nice to see you. We have known you from such things as amazing cake.
Yes.
Pictures. If you don't follow Cake Monster Texas, Cake Monster TX on Instagram,
me.
What are you doing? I still have vivid memories of the candy bark that you made for the top of the cake. Literally, I think about it all the time. I'm not even...
the pink and white candy bark?
Yes, exactly. Nice. And it had like the ribbon candy in it. I literally think about it all the time. I showed the picture to my daughter who was obsessed with everything pink. Nice. So she is like, yeah, Mom, you'll make, and the mini donuts. Yeah. I think about it often. So you're doing great work out there.
That was a fun cake. Yeah. The order on that was just like, she likes sugar and she likes pink. And I said, I got you, boo. We're going to do this.
So you're doing cakes out there in the world. You teach self-defense classes.
I do.
For women, people. And you were featured on Occult AMA back in the day. This is a while back. A couple months ago, I feel like.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, back before it was a podcast. This is the first time I've actually drank an alcoholic beverage while podcasting.
Fantastic.
Do you want to know the reason?
Yes.
Because it would not fit in my fridge.
Well, it's gotta go somewhere. It might as well go in your belly. So it's
gonna go into my mouth.
No, I actually haven't had an alcoholic beverage in probably 5-6 years.
Yes.
Because of my my medication for my lupus.
Oh, okay.
Like my poor liver is already working so hard.
He's like, I'm doing the best I can here.
Like,
okay.
Bitch, don't make me filter other shit too.
Yes, exactly.
I can't do this.
I'm like the little engine that could right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like it's just getting by. I really cannot throw it. And it's just
I understand.
Recreational, not worth it.
I understand completely. I used to be a big drinker and And then I really like cut back a lot on drinking. And I was like, maybe I'll never drink again. But you want to know what else I am? Susceptible to peer pressure.
Really? Open to suggestion.
Yes. I love a good time.
Yeah. And you know what? Booze tastes really good.
You know what? I think that's the thing. Like if I didn't like, it's the same with coffee. If I didn't like coffee and the taste of coffee, it would be no problem.
Right. I could quit it.
Yeah. But no.
But I make really good coffee.
Yes.
Like I can't, if I made shitty coffee, that would again be easy to quit. But
exactly.
I don't.
But I don't.
I make fabulous coffee.
Yeah. See, that's it. Put it on the resume. Put that on a business card. What are we talking about? Romance.
I don't know. We got into
We're here for romance reasons.
We listened to a romance novel podcast, the same one.
Yes, we do listen to the same one. We have been internet friends for a little while now. And you started reading romance like later in life, or
yeah, I came to it in college because I had that internalized misogyny thing where women, cool girls don't read romance. That's just for for trashy, silly girls or whatever. It turns out I'm a trashy, silly girl.
Absolutely. That's my brand.
100%. And I definitely did not want to be seen in public with a romance novel cover because they weren't cool back then. They weren't
early
like
2000s. Animated graphic designer.
It was full on Fabio ripping the bodice.
Yeah.
Good times novel covers.
And I feel like I was just thinking about this last night. So I do not sleep like at all, really. Like I've been up since. That sounds
healthy.
It's not. I slept from midnight to 4 a.m. last night. And in the other times I was on the romance Twitter, which as you know.
Oh yeah. That is an active Twitter.
It is. There's a lot of content there. Yeah. And I was thinking actively about the, whoever it was that was like, thinking that we can't do these animated covers and that we have to stick with like that only books that have naked dudes on them sell or whatever, you know what I mean? There was a whole contingent that was like, no, those books sell better, so that's why you have to put the naked dudes on them. And I think that has just been proven wrong in like the last year, right?
There's no fucking way that's true. It just can't be, because like
it's just people that don't like change.
Yeah. And if you want, like, I think as the author, if you want a bodice rippy dude on the cover, then by all means have that. But if I really feel like it only works for period romances, like it only in special cases.
Maybe
would I see it working in contemporary
romances.
Okay. I think the cover of some of my favorite Sons of Anarchy fanfic would probably have like with just the cut.
Just a cut. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why is it called that?
I don't know.
Like the only thing I could ever think is it's like a leather jacket with the sleeves cut off.
I think you may have
That's
cracked the
the
code.
only thing I could think of, and I've spent some QT thinking about this.
It bears consideration. Because Lord, especially Sons of Anarchy, that show devoured my life for a long time.
I did not have. It was on cable, wasn't it? When it was on.
I don't know. We stole it, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, so I did not ever have whatever channel it was on, and I did not know how to steal things because I did not spend a lot of time thinking about it. So literally, all I had was like basic access and PBS. So I wasn't watching Sons of Anarchy, so I missed it. You know what I mean? And now it's like kind of too late to go back for me. Like I'm not. I mean, you're probably right.
It is never too late.
The only thing I'm going back and watching, let's be real, is backlog seasons of Great British Bake Off. That's really the only thing I'm going back for.
That is so good for your soul. So good for your soul. Sons of Anarchy is not. I mean, there are some beautiful men in questionable hygiene situations doing really high octane shit, but it's also just Hamlet with motorcycles, and we know how Hamlet ends.
Oh yeah, no, everyone dies in that, don't they? So we've been watching Witcher, and is it The Witcher or is it Witcher?
God, I don't know.
I don't know. We don't really need to know.
No.
We don't need to know. But literally said to someone the other day, I just think that his penis has to smell really bad. I just think it has to.
There's no way. There's no way it smells. But he is wearing, are they leather pants? Is it a leather encasement situation?
I think
I think we need to watch again.
Sort of like dragon leather hybrid. They're made of magic. I don't know, because there's one scene, I think it's in one of the first couple episodes, where it almost looks like he's wearing like garbage bag pants. And I just spent a lot of time looking at it. You know, it's just got to be the sweatiest place. Right. And then he's inside, literally sometimes inside of monster creatures.
Yes. So, but here's the thing. Geralt is also, aside from his girlfriend one time, the only person in the show that we know bathes.
I think that the one girl, maybe this is a spoiler, Yennefer.
No, I've seen the whole thing.
Well, for somebody else.
Oh. There are other people in the room. I'm so sorry. Hi, everybody. Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. There's more people here than just us. We could talk another time where it's just us. That's totally fine.
No, but you're correct.
I think she probably, like, her vagina must regenerate every night because, you know what I mean?
Right. Because of reasons.
I don't know.
But everybody else remains fully clothed and not soapy. And he's in the water 2-3 times over the course of the series.
2-3 times over like 15 years, you know?
But if we assume that other people bathe at all, then we have to assume that he's actually fastidiously clean.
This is also one of those situations where I think about like Harry Potter, where I'm like, okay, so you have magic, but you're still using candles. What?
You have magic, but you use a quill. Literally, you're sharpening a feather with a knife. That's described more than once in the series.
Exactly. You have magic, but you're taking a still bath that you have to dump a bucket over your head. I don't understand.
I don't. And also, you have magic, but you willingly are drinking something called pumpkin juice.
Yes.
Which sounds like a screaming nightmare to me.
Yes.
That is not something that juices.
Yeah.
It doesn't juice. Purees at best.
If I am going to have magic, there are some things that I'm never going to have to think about. Bathing, cutting my hair.
Right.
Trimming toenails. Things like that. Tedium. Yeah. I'm just going to be clean. All the time.
In D&D, to fly my nerd flag for a second, there is a basic level cantrip that you can take if you're playing a wizard called prestidigitation. God, it's a hard word.
Prestidigitation. Let's say it together.
Prestidigitation. There you go. Anyway, you're just clean.
Oh,
you're just clean.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic. And I think that was probably put in there by some D&D developer's partner who probably read romance novels and said, you know what barbarians and knights don't do enough of in romance novels is wash their junk.
Their dicks smell real bad.
You need to have something in there that just magically wicks it all away.
Yep.
And so that's why we have prestidigitation.
See? Tell the guy on The Witcher. Actually, I think it's a lady run show, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So tell those ladies, work that in somehow so people like me could just thirst over Henry Cavill without thinking about what his dick smells like. Let's just...
Well, I didn't think about it before you mentioned it.
I just ruined it for every listener who was now, The Witcher's hot. Now they're like, no, his butt crack stinks.
No, he's got swamp ass.
He totally does. Okay, so you got over the internalized misogyny. And you started reading romance.
Yeah, so my roommate in college, she actually grew up in Germany for most of her life, so she was pretty free of like the Puritan bullshit that we're raised with here in the States.
Yeah.
And so she would just read her romance novels anywhere, just on the bus. She didn't give a shit.
True heroine.
Flagrant man nipples all over the thing. She did not care. And so I was like, you are so free. Teach me your ways.
Yes.
And she said, here, read this. And she handed me the Knight in Shining Armor.
Oh.
Yeah, the time travel one with the girl with the red hair with the terrible boyfriend. It was so goddamn awful. I hated everything but the sex. The sex was for hot.
Yeah.
Because I was actually reading sex.
It was probably because it was one of the first times you read it, right?
Yeah.
You were like, this vanilla sex is the best thing I've ever read in my whole life.
This straight up missionary no oral is amazing.
Penetration with your foreplay.
Somebody wrote this down. No clit was ever touched anywhere in that book.
She didn't even have one. Let's just, you know.
She was Barbie doll smooth. But so I read that and I kind of threw it at her when I was done with it. I was like,
how dare you?
This was fucking terrible. Why did you make me read this? She said, so now read this. And she passed me A Gentle Rogue by Johanna Lindsey, which is part of the Mallory series, which I recognize now is not the best series. It's Johanna Lindsey, and she's a little old-fashioned in her romance ways. But I read that, and it was good.
Yeah.
And there was like dialogue that didn't make me want to just peel my skin off and run screaming away from the book. It was so good. And so and it was a series, because that's how they get you. They're like, here's this book with sexy times in it. Did you know?
Yeah.
There's 900 more. You can read them all.
I kind of feel that way about like putting the tip in on the Bridgerton series, because I'm like, then I'll spend my next year just in that world. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It got that way briefly with me, with the boys with the beards.
The Winstons?
Yes. The Winstons. Okay. I read almost all of those.
Yes.
In a day.
Usually, so I've read that series, I think 3 times now. Mm-hmm. And I think once I start reading it, I have to read all of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I have to go back and do all of them.
Well, the story, the continuity is so continuous. It's just so good.
So I feel like she's the kind of author too where you could find Easter eggs to the other things. Like once I was reading the Billy books, I was like, oh, I remember that part. Do you read mostly contemporaries, or you're a mix?
I really have a fondness for period romance, but I think it's just because that's where I started.
When I really got back into romance, I would only read historicals, and I think part of me was like, it's not trashy if it's history.
It's not trashy if he has to unlace a corset
exactly
to get at that ass.
There is a firm ankle view right now that is looking pretty good. Okay, so Stefannie, how does like romance fit into your life?
My romantic life is maybe a little more complicated than most folks. My husband and I are polyamorous. So
hold on really quick, because if you're going to describe it to somebody who has never even heard of it, what would you describe polyamorous as?
So let me tell to you a little story.
Okay.
So I was diagnosed with systemic lupus about 10 years ago. And that will, and I had been married to my husband at that point for 5 years, and we were very monogamous and very much your stereotypical, cis het monogamous marriage, right? And then I get this diagnosis and my whole world changes, and I'm like, it just rocked everything. And I realized like my life might be shorter than I want it to be, and I will have only ridden this one cock in all of this time. And like, I love him, but also there are others out there that could also be fun. So we sat down and had a conversation, and he was totally open to it, and we hammered out the rules, because there have to be rules.
Literally and figuratively. Sorry.
You are more accurate than you know. And we basically just started dating. And I think anytime that you start a new romantic phase in your life, like coming out as a different sexuality or starting off as polyamorous, you start over from like teenager. So I'm like 32 and I'm going out on first dates for the first time in years, and it was all butterflies and very emotionally wrought, and there was some drama, and I got real slutty. I had like 6 guys I was dating at one point, and but I've got this my husband is an amazing partner, and we support each other and we check each other, and we are each other's sounding boards, like about should I be dating this girl, and I say she might be a crazy bitch, so I get crazy bitch vibes off of her, so be careful. And we keep each other honest, and we abide by the rules, and it takes so much communication and so much talking. And so that's part of my frustration with reading romance novels, is like, y'all just need to sit down and talk about this. Just talk.
And there's always that book where you're like, this is a 10-minute conversation that needed to be had. And it would have saved a lot of trouble.
We would have saved like 4 chapters.
I mean, there wouldn't have probably been a book, but...
No, it would have been a pamphlet, but it would have been a sexy pamphlet.
Really short novella, but that's okay.
It would have been a happy pamphlet. So yeah, we communicate a lot, and I don't... Anytime that jealousy rears up in a romance novel, I'm like, ew.
Yeah.
Really? Do we have to do that? Can't you just like...
Well, I think there are some people that do feel jealous and do get jealous, and that's part of their personality. And like way to be an evolved human being. I don't know if I'm a jealous person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that. But I think that there are people that like possession and possessiveness are very much are like a part of their lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
About not just their partner, but about friends and about, cookies and like that one coffee mug in your drawer. Like
I learned throughout this whole polyamorous process, I'm extremely possessive of my bed.
Mm-hmm.
I want me to be in my bed, or my husband. I barely allow the cats. I don't let the dog. Mm-hmm. I don't want my kids in my bed. That's my space.
Yeah.
And so that was like the first rule that blurted out of my mouth when we started negotiating this whole thing was nobody else in my bed.
Yeah, that's a safe space.
Yeah. And so jealousy is a totally real and normal thing, but when it is allowed to be a toxic driver of the plot in a book, I'm like, gross. Ew.
Yeah. Well, again, it comes down to communication because it's trust. Mm-hmm. It's jealousy, and that jealousy morphing into something is you allowing those feelings to get away from you without having a conversation about it with somebody else and just turning it into a situation that's not, right?
Right.
That's my very non-therapist, non-expert words that come
I like a certain degree of possessive,ness. It can be super hot.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, yeah, the whole thing that the Winstons do, like, that's my woman.
Yeah.
It's
yes.
It's a little iffy, but it's also a little really hot.
Well, and because I feel like they're like enlightened Neanderthals. You know what I mean? In that situation, like
yes.
They'll let you be you, but like also you're mine too, though.
Yeah. And like the thing is like my husband and I, we're polyamorous, but we're also very devoted people. And so we both have long-term relationships outside of our marriage. He's got his lovely girlfriend, and they've been together for like 3-4 years now. And my boyfriend, I just talked to him before we jumped on this call, and he and I have been dating for almost 8 years. And it's like, maybe we're not so good at this whole like serial dating thing.
So are you dating other people besides those two people? Like you'll still go on dates, or is that kind of that phase over? Yeah.
I could, but like I've got through my slut phase.
Right.
I found quality guy phase, and also with my lupus, I can't just expose myself to germs all the time. And every time you make out with a guy, that's just germs all up in it.
You need to know every place that tongue has been.
Yeah. And like that conversation also gets really old.
Yeah.
That, hey, I know that you liked my pictures and we want to have the sexy times, but I have lupus. And then I got to watch that reaction. And if they immediately start acting like I just overshared something gross, then we're done. I'm going to pay for my half of dinner and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
So that whole conversation, because I have to have the STI conversation like date one.
Yeah.
And so...
Because like, you can't go anywhere. Why get emotionally or physically invested in somebody when it can't go anywhere?
Yeah. And so that is a lot of emotional work to do that I don't always feel like fucking doing. And so I haven't felt like it for a couple of years now. And honestly, I've been training Kung Fu so much. It's like Kung Fu is my other boyfriend now. And so that's where my other spare time goes. So
if you were going to talk to somebody who was curious about being polyamorous or curious about if that was really what they were thinking about, kind of, is there any advice you would give to them? Or
I mean, other than communication, all the communication. I mean, even if the conversation is uncomfortable as fuck, and it will be, sit down, push through it, and have all the conversations and be open about your feelings. And the second something happens that makes you feel icky, you got to pause and say, all right, I'm having a feeling right now. I maybe need to process it for a minute, but I need you to know something about this was a little triggery and I need to figure it out. So there's that. But also, I went into it with the mindset of like, because the idea of not just dating somebody other than my husband, but like really caring about somebody other than him romantically. And I thought that didn't feel like that was possible. But then I realized I have 2 children, and I didn't love my firstborn less because the baby girl came along. Like, it's not pie. There's not less of it because you cut pieces out. You know, it's an exponential thing. So yeah. But that's just how I see it, you know. But it's being an ethical slut is what it is. Like, I mean, like, I'm a slut, but I got rules.
I think it's sometimes putting what you physically need or want on the same level as what you emotionally need or want, right? Right. And I think a lot of times we think that our physical needs are lower down the totem pole.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think probably in a real person's life, they would all be equal, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to circle back because you talked about saying, you know, like when something feels really emotionally weird or triggery. I think that's something that us as women are told to push through or taught to push through, no matter your relationship, whether it's with one human person or 2 or multiple or whatever. We're taught to just be quiet and to deal with it. And I think that, exactly. That it's not our job to, you know, conflict what's happening. And I think that that's good advice for anybody. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of self-advocacy and being honest with yourself about how you're feeling. Even if what you're feeling reveals that you are a petty bitch in this moment, I'm still feeling it. And I need to work through that. And so do you, partner of mine in this situation.
Right. And exactly. So, if you can't handle me at my most cunty, you cannot handle me.
You cannot handle my cunt.
Yes. Like, great. Let's put it on a t-shirt.
Stitch it on a pillow.
Put it on a cake.
Don't think I won't. It might not go up in my public Instagram. I might just post it on the group. But yeah, in the cults, the cunty cake. Man. I'll try not to make it anatomical.
But yeah, I think that's awesome. I think if I personally do not have the emotional capacity for any other humans in my life. You know what I mean? That's the honesty with yourself. Yeah. I mean, like, if your partner comes to you and goes like, I would like to be polyamorous, and you look at yourself and go, ew, I think I might not. That's a conversation. And you gotta speak up for you. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really happy that it works for you because it obviously is. If you've been doing this for 8 years or more, you know, that's awesome. And I'm really happy that it works for you. Really am.
Thanks. Yeah.
Because I think there's a lot of like, you know, very not cliche because it's not cliche, very romanticized, you know, polyamorous relationships in romance and in the internet and things like that. And it's not always romantic and it's not always, you know, clean and, you know, easy. So thank you for sharing. How do you feel about a lightning round?
Okay.
You feeling good about it?
I feel great about it.
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you an Aaron or a Melody?
I am a melon.
Okay.
I am a combination of the two.
Great. You're a Venn diagram.
Yes. If you were to do the Venn diagram and in the middle where it's like all of Melanie's sex positivity, but all of Aaron's growly judgmentalness.
Sure.
All right there in the middle. That's me.
Those are all the best parts.
Yeah. I like to think so.
What's your favorite carb?
I think everybody says this, but it's got to be the potato.
Not everybody, because I like croissants, but do you have a specific potato vessel that is your favorite?
I'm actually, okay, I mutate the potato into my actual favorite carb. I make sweet potato naan.
Oh, okay.
It's so good.
I think we talked a little bit about this, but do you have a problematic fave?
I have a problematic favorite song.
What is it?
It's... Shit. I'm going to admit this on a podcast. It's a little ditty called Honky Tonk Badonkadonk by Trace Adkins.
No. I have some Toby Keith problematic faves, so I'm here for
everything
you.
that Toby Keith has ever touched is now problematic by association. Yes. But no, I mean, it's just Lord have mercy, how she even keep them britches on.
I mean, I don't really know. Do you know? Have you figured it out? I haven't figured it out.
It's poetry.
Okay, do you have a go-to author? I feel like we've talked about a couple of them.
I mean, as far as romance, Johanna Lindsey will always be.
Oh, it's like a nostalgic go-to.
Yeah, I'll read anything with her name on it, and I have regretted that loyalty on occasion. But
problematic faith.
There we go. Oh, but she's my fave. No.
Yeah, no, I don't think she's as problematic as some, but
she's a product of her time.
Yeah,
and so there's gonna be some 80s era thoughts on the relations between men and women and stuff, and that's just how that is, which is why I like her period stuff, because it's like, oh, that's just how they were then.
Yes,
instead of that's how Johanna Lindsey has always
that's just basically your I understand.
So but she's my go-to, but this podcast has brought so many authors to my attention. Who was it that wrote the Reluctant Royals series? What's her name?
It
terrible fans?
Alyssa Cole.
Is it Alyssa Cole? I follow her on the Facebooks, the Twitters.
Is that the one with like a Princess in Theory?
Yes.
Yeah, it's Alyssa Cole.
Okay. Fucking love her.
Yeah. Have you read Shine a Light? It is very good. I think it's a novella, so it's a quick read. If you could bing boom bong something, what would it be?
Self-defense.
If you have a go-to self-defense pro tip?
Yeah, get your hands up and yeah.
Sorry,
up in front of your face.
I'm putting my hands in front of my face, listener.
Like get your hands in their face.
Okay.
Get your hands up. Always be like just get them up and always be hitting.
Constantly moving.
Yeah. Okay. Plant your feet, but that's if everything else has failed, and everything else up to that point is keep your head up, make eye contact, own the space around you so that nobody else feels like they can move into your space with impunity. I mean, if you've got to wear your bitch face all the time, then wear your bitch face if that's your armor that makes you feel safe. And that communicates to the world, especially through eye contact, that I see you. I'm going to remember your face and be able to describe it to the police later. Yeah. Like, there's just a lot of carrying yourself like not a victim. Should that fail, get your hands in their face.
So I don't have a resting bitch face. And I have the face that's like, tell me about your medical condition. Tell me about your weird family drama. But I make a lot of direct eye contact. So that makes for a lot of interesting grocery store conversations.
Oh God. Yeah.
And conversations with people on the street. So I'm making eye contact, but it must be welcoming in some way because I constantly get people talking to me.
You might need an active bitch face then.
I'm just always
it's not your default setting. It's the mask that you put on to go out onto the street.
Yes.
You're just like, So yeah, there's just you just got to own your space. And
absolutely.
If anybody tries to get into your space, make noise and get back in theirs.
Yeah. If you were going to dispense a condiment from your belly button, what would it be?
Who thought up this question has
Not
been my
me.
question.
But so I used to teach professional team building, and this was one of our professional team building questions.
I have heard this question, and I've been dreading this question. It's so
and you were probably like, maybe she forgot this time. No, I didn't.
It's just because I have a very vivid imagination, so I just picture because Melody did this to me, hummus just sort of out of my belly button. And like, what if you don't have any control over the dispensation of
this?
You
need a court.
Yeah. Like, what if you're just walking down the street or trying to talk to some hot guy and suddenly like, do
ketchup
you roasted
just
red
oozing.
peppers and garlic?
Oh, wait. So what are you saying? You're dispensing roasted red pepper?
If it was hummus coming out of me, it would be roasted red pepper garlic hummus.
Great.
But no, I did think about this because I was terrified
mentally
that you would
preparing yourself, yes.
And I would dispense from my belly button. It is called it's a spicy oil. It's called Spicy Chili Crisp. And it is basically, it's like the hot chili oil that you get with Chinese food.
Yeah.
But there are little bits of fried onion and garlic in it that are crunchy. What? Oh, you can get it on Amazon.
Oh my gosh.
This condiment can be yours.
Spicy Chili Crisp. If anything, if anything, this podcast is perpetuating condiments as like,
it's so
you know, a current trend.
I mixed it with some mayonnaise and spread that on a sandwich. And it's got
I am firmly against mayonnaise, but I will support you in your
You can
quest.
mix it with some hummus. But the thing is, I need control over the dispensary.
Okay.
Because if that...
So you need like a valve.
Yeah, I need like a button. And I need it to not be a leaky button. Like, I understand that it's my belly button, but there needs to be another button. Because this is a very fragrant oil.
Sure.
And it is
and
pungent.
Oils are really hard to get out of clothing, you know.
Yeah, and it's gonna stain my sweater leggings, and I'm never gonna get that out.
Not to mention, like, your vajay would just be like never the same again. Oh wait, I want you to talk about your podcast really quick, because you have a podcast, so plug that really quick.
Okay, yes. My friend, who is also named Stefannie, and I have a podcast called Outlaws and Scorned Women. We are exploring the criminal history of the state of Texas. I find these cases and I tell the dramatic story of the crime as it went down, and then I sit down with her. She's a lawyer. And so we sit down with her and like break down the legal implications of like how the appeals went and what laws were applied and stuff like that throughout the case. And in the cases where we have like, it's a mystery and they never caught the guy, so there's no trial for her to analyze, she goes down a history rabbit hole and we learn all about all kinds of like the history of the prison system in Texas. This is a weird ass state.
And I can imagine.
Very strange.
And that's coming from Illinois.
Where you're actually on another planet.
Yes, exactly.
And anyway, we have a lot of fun with it.
Is this the same person that you were going to do a romance podcast with?
Nope, different person.
I was like, so you guys went from like romance love stories to just like crime and death.
Crime and death. No, she's not as into romance novels as my other friend. We might revisit the romance one, but it's like, the romance novel podcast market is so well done
saturated
right now.
Yeah. I mean, not saturated in a bad way, but there's a lot of viewpoints out there, and you have to find something. You always have to try to find something unique, you know, like that's the point. That's the tough part about podcasting right now.
Well, we're just sort of reveling in the wacky ass history.
It's fun to just communicate with friends. Like that's the best thing about this podcast is that I get to talk to people that sometimes I've never even seen or I've never talked to. And it's really nice to just talk to them and be friends with them on the internet. So Stefannie, keeping a badass.
Natalie. Okay,
and love yourself as much as you love heaving bosoms.
I will. Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, you. Yes, listener, you. Are you loving the show? If so, please leave a rating and review in your podcast app. The 90 seconds you take to say something nice not only helps new people find the show, but it makes me super smile over at HBHQ. Also, I've had a few people ask, and the answer is yes. We are still doing the 5-star bribe. If you leave us a review with 5 stars, then we'll do whatever book you want. We're real deep into the list, though, so it might be a while. Lilas! Okay, back to the show.